Hello and welcome to our next unboxing. My name's Sam Kingsley and I'm the Head of STEM Education at the Brainary. Today we're going to be looking at the Fable Robotics system, and in front of me here I've got the two kits. So we've got a joint module on my right and the spin module on my left. So we're going to open these up and go through the different components and how they all come together to build different robots and have a look at the different projects that we can work on with these robots. We're going to start with our joint module first. I'm going to open up that lid. The first thing you'll notice is we've got some instructions on the underside of our lid, and flipping the lid down we've got a base plate ready to use. So this will come in handy in a moment. The next thing I'm going to grab is our joint module. So this is the most important part of the joint kit here, and you'll notice that we have the same configuration on our base plate and on our robot here. So I can connect that like so. So now I've got my robot nicely connected to a stable base, and I can use this to start working with my robot. I can remove this at any point, and it's got a nice strong connection, but it's easy enough to remove, and we've got a magnetized connective setup so that when we add them together they hold nicely, but with a bit of strength they'll come out. On the back I just need to turn on my robot, and you'll notice that we have a color appearing on the front here. Next, inside our kit we have a few different attachments. So we've got a maze, we have two different connectors. So this connector here is our main connector, and we can see here how our maze connects in. So now I've got my maze mounted and I can slot that into the top, and now I can program my robot to solve that maze. Removing the maze, and I'll put that back for the moment, and removing our connector, you can see that we've got those classic nodules, meaning that we can connect up Lego. So we can build our own attachments out of Lego and mount them onto our robot if we want to. What we've also got in our box here is we have a phone holder. You'll notice on the bottom here we have the same connection as with our our maze. So I can also connect that in, and I'm ready to add my phone in with the Fable Face app. So I can start to create a social robot really quickly. And the next thing we've got in our box here is we have our fork and our table tennis ball holder. So this allows us to look at pick and place. So you can see my table tennis ball here. So both of these will mount directly into our holder like so, and we can start moving our robot around and placing our ping pong ball where we want to. So both of those will connect up into here. But the next part we need to look at is what's called our hub. So you can see the hub here. On the back it's got its ID, so we know which hub we're connecting to. And all we need to do is grab the USB cable, connect that up, and connect this to our computer. Once that turns on, we'll get 6 different colors that we can select from, and they will match up to the colors we can select from on our robot here. So as long as we have the same colors on our hub as we do with our robot, that will set up a connection between the two, as long as they're within range, and we can then start deploying code from our Blockly programming software, or if we're more advanced we can actually start writing Python for it. Alongside that we also have some connectors. So this is the 4XY connector, so we have 4 different connection points. This allows us to start building different shapes and different types of robots. So I can mount that in, and I'll remove my other components. So I can connect my arm on the side here to give an extra bit of length. Can connect it up on the top here or on the other side. So we have a bit of freedom of what we build and how we build it. And the last attachment that we have inside is a table tennis ball thrower. So I'm going to take out my fork there and add in that in its place. Popping my joint module there, I can now program this to send my table tennis ball off into the abyss. So we've got a few different activities that we can start running really quickly and easily with the joint module, and we have a lot of curriculum that we can run as well. The last piece that I want to show you before we move on to our spin module here is this is our 3D printable attachment. So what you'll notice is we have 4 standoffs inside here, and we've got the screws required in the box as well. So what we can do is actually 3D print an attachment and screw that in. So that could be, for example, redesigning our maze here and then 3D printing that and mounting that on our bracket here. Or it could be another sort of fork or gripper that can pick something up for us. So we can have that design in 3D printing element incorporated into our robot as well and mount it onto our robot using the same magnetized system to quickly build our robots. So that's our joint module. I'm just going to move that to the side, and we will come back to it in a moment because we'll look at how we can combine the joint and the spin module together, which is where things become really fun and really cool. So opening up the spin module, you'll see that we have the same mounting plate here, which is really helpful. And the first thing we're going to pull out is our spin module. So on the base of our spin module, we have the connection point there where we can mount our little snow shovel on the front, and we have our sensors across the front here. So that allows us to sense distance, color, and light, and we can start to leverage the data we get from that. What you'll also notice is we've got our wheels on both sides. These are also magnetized, so we can actually remove those if we want to. So I'll remove those off completely and move off our snowplow, which gives us our spin module at its most basic level. So then we have our 2 servos and our sensors on the front. This allows us to rebuild and repurpose this robot and move it away from just being a wheeled robot. I'll show you how we do that with our joint module in a moment, but what I'll quickly do is rebuild this and pull out some of our other attachments to show you how we can start building very quickly. So here is our caster omnidirectional wheel. Snapping that on there, we've got a wheeled robot ready to program and ready to navigate mazes or drive around the room, depending what we want to do. We also have our hub, which we talked about before, so we'd use that to connect up our robot here. Likewise, we've got those same connection next, we've got our 3XY connector. So this here acts in a similar way to this one here on the joint module. We just have it in a slightly different configuration. This works really nicely with our spin module because we can start to customize our wheeled robot very quickly. So now we're a little bit longer and we've got 2 connection points rather than 1. So we can build other things onto our robot here. Similar to our joint kit, we also have the fork and table tennis ball holder, and we have a table tennis ball to go with. And the last thing I'm going to pull out is our mobile phone holder. So this connects onto our robot like so, and we can pop a mobile phone on here, and using our Fable Face app, which I talked about before, we can quite easily turn our robot here into a social robot and program the eyes on the Fable Face application. So we can make them happy, sad, we can change their eye color, and have a bit of fun in that regard. Now we can use an iPhone or an Android phone for that app, so you can be flexible in that regard. So that's the components that we've got in each of our kits here. Now, the wonderful thing about Fable is that we can combine these kits together. We can combine more than one kit together. We can combine lots of kits together to build different types of robots. So I'm going to show you a quick example of one of those robots that we can build. So I'm going to take off my caster wheel because I don't need that for the moment, and remove the wheels too, and take our spin module. So I'm going to pop my 3xy module there, and then I'm going to mount my spin module like so. So now I'm getting a 360-degree range of movement there. I'm going to grab my joint module and I'm going to connect it up like so. And then I'm going to grab one of my connectors and mount the fork into that. And just like that, I've created a robotic arm that has a 360-degree range, and then I can actually use my X and Y servos here to program a pick and place robotic arm, and in our case we'll be using our ping pong ball. But if we wanted to go a little bit further, we could look at creating, as I was saying before, our own attachment and 3D printing that, or building one out of Lego as an example. So very quickly we've gone from a wheeled robot and a stationary arm to a robotic arm with 3 degrees of freedom and a 360-degree range on our positioning like so. We can still also leverage the sensors that are in both our modules here and use those for data collection or interaction with the environment that our robot's working within. Taking our modularity a little bit further, I'm going to take apart our robot and rebuild it slightly differently. So I'm going to grab our wheels again, and we're going to build a wheeled robot that is able to navigate and collect ping pong balls and drop them off. So what I'm doing here is going to mount my arm on the front, and then I'm going to pop my, now that I've added my fork in, I've got my robot that can deliver my table tennis ball and navigate around the room. So, and that only took us about 30 seconds to build. So there's a lot of freedom in regards to what we build, and some of the clever designers in Denmark thought, what can we do with this? And realized that we can flip our lid upside down, or the right way up in this case, and mount it onto our robot. So now we have a robot ready to deliver the morning coffee and a delivery robot ready to go. So there's a lot of freedom with what you create, but it is very easy to do and it doesn't take very long. So that's one of the great things about Fable, is all the different configurations that we do have and the time it takes for us to put them together. Now, if we've got more kits than what we've got here today, say we've got 2 joint kits, we can actually put them together and create our own little snake robot and try and program that to actually move around on the floor and across the room. If we say had multiple kits here of both our spin and joint, we could look at building a bit more of a monstrosity of a robot that has lots of different moving parts. And depending on our application and the project or problem we're trying to solve, we can rebuild and reuse. So that's a quick unboxing and overview of the Fable system and the 2 key kits that underpin it. So we can use them separately, we can use them together, and we can be really creative with what we do. Thanks for joining me. If you'd like any further information on how to use the Fable kit here, please get in touch and have a look at our website. So if you go to thebrainary.com/Fable, you'll see a little bit more information, and we can send you some example lesson plans, some wonderful ideas of how schools are currently using Fable in their classroom, and also how public libraries are using them as well. They're a wonderful kit that you can roll out in school holiday and after school programs as well.